So today I'm going to go through 5 important exercises that people who've had a stroke can do, all in the comfort of their kitchen bench. These exercises work on strengthening your legs so you can do things like walk, lift your leg, and get on and off chairs a bit easier. All you're going to need for today is just a chair, a kitchen bench, some rectangular shaped objects that you can put on the floor and use as a little step. You're not going to be putting all of your weight on it, so it's okay if it's just lightweight like one of these. Just before we get started, just remember that if this is your first time doing it, or if you're not quite confident with exercise, just definitely get someone to supervise you as you do this. And also, these exercises are not for everyone, so just check with your physiotherapist or your doctor to make sure that you're safe for these exercises. We're going to put a chair behind us for safety. You might need to get someone to help you to put the chair there, or you can also just find the chair and position it next to your kitchen bench so that it's permanent, and you can end up doing this exercise whenever you feel like it or whenever you get the chance. I've got the kitchen bench by my side, which I can use for support with my good arm. So the first exercise is just a bit of weight shifting. When people have had a stroke, a lot of the times they end up walking with one leg out to the side like this. And you might notice them putting more of their weight on this stronger side. And when they do take a step, they don't put as much weight on that weaker side, so they do this. So what we want to do with this exercise is actually learn to transfer our weight onto this weaker side and learn to strengthen and trust that leg more. So the setup of this exercise is you want to put your chair right next to your bench. Then you can put your stronger hand on the bench, take a wide stance. So this is going to be a stance that's slightly wider than normal. And then when you are in this position, you want this leg to be pretty close to that chair that we've just set up over here. So this exercise, you just want to push your hips towards your weaker side. So you're doing more of this movement. And as a little target, you're trying to get your knee to go towards the opposite chair. Okay, so if I was a little bit closer, I'd be hitting that chair. And that probably means I've put enough of my weight on that weaker side. So right now, I'm actually doing a pretty common compensation where this hip is pushing over that way, but my body is still staying over on top of my stronger leg. So to make this exercise even more efficient, you're going to try to stay as upright as you can when you do weight shift. When you do this, try not to let your knee lock back, but also just be careful that your knee doesn't buckle forward and you end up falling over. If this version's too hard, then you can try facing the kitchen bench instead, and you're going to be holding with this side. Same idea, you still just want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, then push your body weight towards that weaker side. If you do have some help, you can get someone to move the chair so that you do have something to aim for. So once you've warmed up with a bit of weight shifting, then we can do the next exercise, which seems easy, but it's usually underestimated. The exercise is your sit to stands. This is probably an exercise that you're going to see in most exercise videos just because of how helpful it is and how useful it is in day-to-day life. So here's a common mistake that people who've had a stroke normally do. They usually put their weaker leg out in front of them and they end up standing up and sitting down in a staggered stance position. So when you actually do this, you put less pressure on the leg that's further out in front and put more pressure on the leg that's further back. Because people who've had a stroke usually want to favor their stronger side, they're going to put their stronger leg closer to them. So to make this exercise even more effective, you're going to try to bring your weaker leg in as much as you can. So when you stand up, push through that weak leg as much as you can. And then when you sit back down, try to come down slow, nice and controlled. If this version is too easy, then you can make it harder by actually putting your strong leg a little bit further out and putting your weaker leg closer to you. So now when you do this, you put more pressure on that weaker leg and you go up and down, okay? So by doing it this way, we're actually putting more pressure on the weaker leg and we're also gonna end up strengthening it more. So that's your sit to stands with a focus on putting your weaker leg back towards the chair as much as you can. The next one is your step taps. And for this one, we're going to need that rectangular shaped object I was telling you about. So in this case, we're using this little container. What we're going to do is we're just going to step and tap. And we're going to Keep repeating this one. When we actually do this, we put all of our weight on the leg that's not lifting up. So in this situation, I'm putting all of my weight on my left leg, which is my weaker side. And when you do that, you're going to tap and you're going to come back down. That moment when you have your opposite leg up is going to be the moment where you're actually training this weaker leg. And the challenge of it is you're going to try to just tap the box lightly. A lot of the times people have the tendency to put a lot of their weight on that box as well because they want to spread out their weight between the two legs. But the more lightly you can tap it, the better. And that means that you're putting more pressure on this opposite leg. Again, I'm putting my hand here for a bit of assistance. To make it harder, try to just put your fingertips on there or even just not hold on to the bench at all. When you do this, just be careful that you don't accidentally put all your weight there and that starts sliding. I can also do this with just a stack of books. The books have a lower height, which means that I don't have to lift my leg up as high, which makes it easier for me. The higher it is, the further up that this leg has to go and the longer time that I have to be maintaining balance on this weaker leg. But I do recommend just starting off with a bit of a lower, smaller height object, then building your way up to this taller one over here. Okay, so if you're finding this pretty easy and you're finding yourself being able to tap it gently, then coming back down, then you can make the exercise harder by actually changing it. A tissue box really ups the stakes. If you end up pushing on it too hard, you're going to crush it. Just gives you the feedback that you're actually tapping on the box harder than you think. So when we do this, same thing, you just want to tap it nicely. If there's a tissue protruding out, you might even just want to tap that tissue, then come back down. So this exercise works on that part of walking where we have to put all our weight on one leg and take a step forward with the other, okay? So the better we are at this, the more efficient our walking is going to be. So in saying that, we're going to move on to the next exercise, which is going to be your step taps again, but just on the opposite leg. So this time, instead of stepping up with your stronger side, you're going to step up with your weaker side. Sorry, when I say step up, I'm not actually saying step up. I should be saying step tap. So this is going to look more like this. You're going to put all of your weight on your stronger leg, and then now you're just working and focusing on actually being able to lift up this leg, okay? So you're going to lift it up nice and high, just tap it lightly, try to maintain your weight on this side as you step forward, then bring it back down. So to make this exercise harder, you're going to increase the height of that thing that you're stepping up to. So this helps improve your walking for those times that you have to take a step and you have to take a slightly bigger step in front of you. This is also helpful for if you do have to go up a step, you can train yourself to be able to get enough height there instead of tapping on the step and potentially tripping over. Oops. So that's just the kind of thing that can happen if you're not paying attention to this. So when you're doing this, just a quick reminder that have some support with you. So back to the step tapping. When you've gotten really confident with this, then you can increase the height once again. This might happen over a period of months, but this one here, you're just focusing on really lifting up the knee and also lifting up the toe if you can. Okay, so it's a two-part movement. Lift the knee, lift the toes, and then tap gently. You can avoid the thing that just happened to me where I did end up tipping forward too much by maintaining your weight on this back leg over here. You're just going to do sideways walking. You're going to use the kitchen bench as a bit of a support, and you're going to take one step over to the side and side step, side step, side step. Then you make your way all the way coming back. I want to lift each of my knee up nice and high, and when I do this, I'm focusing on improving my stepping height, which is important, and we do this for both directions. So the way you would make this exercise harder is just by putting your fingertips on the kitchen bench, or if you can manage it, try to do it without holding on. Now, when you're doing this, also just focus on shifting your weight towards the leg that's actually stepping. Sometimes we might see people who do this and they're sort of avoiding one side. If I'm going in that direction, I'm going to focus on shifting my weight over to that left leg. So this builds on from the previous exercise. Okay, so shift your weight to the left and step. Okay. For the last exercise, we're just going to do backwards walking. So we're going to keep our strong hand on the bench. We're going to walk to the end, And then when we get here, we're going to just walk backwards, okay? The best way to improve walking is by actually practicing the skill of walking. And again, just like with the sideways walking, the more you focus on what you're doing with each step, the more effective it is. So with this one, we can again focus on shifting our weight over to that weaker side. So some people, they just do this without thinking and they end up walking this way. But if you really focus, you want to try to shift your weight over to that weaker side and then try to find yourself as upright as you can. And that might mean you're going to be leaning on this stronger hand, which is okay for now. The stronger you get, the less weight you're going to be putting through your hands. So if you've made it this far into the video, I'd love to know what you're thinking right now. Are these exercises doable? I want to hear from you so I know what to make for the next video. And if you want to see more stroke and exercise related videos, just check out one of these videos here.